All right, everybody. It's another week of college football, another week of NFL action. Things happen. A lot of things happen. I don't know where to begin. Obviously, as you all know, new week, and so it'll be Utah Cincinnati being the game day game, which I forgot to put up some polls. I kind of need to do that real quick. I'll probably do that later, but obviously, it's Tuesday. You're probably wondering, wait a minute. I thought you said it was going to be every Wednesday. Remember, tomorrow I'm not even going to be back in time for any sort of recording. I'll be inside the AAC watching the Dallas Mavericks play the Indiana Pacers, the NBA runners-up. So Injury Bowl and Cooper Flag and everything like that. So I won't be here. I won't be here. Just FYI. So kind of got to do this today. So kind of got to do this today. I had time today. Everything worked out today to where things can, kind of just, move on simplistically. Now, Virginia is still a team with one loss, able to survive North Carolina. Yes, Bill Belichick's North Carolina in overtime by one. UNC had a play late. They could not convert that play late to win the game, and thus Virginia won. In the meantime, we have a new team from the G5 in the top 25. It's Memphis. They beat South Florida by 3. South Florida had the opportunity, but ultimately missed the kick late to lose the game. So there's that. John Mateer, Trinidad Chambliss had a duel out in good old Oklahoma. Good old JR's Oklahoma. Did you know JR's kind of racist now, by the way? Good old Jim Ross. It's crazy, but, that's that old school racism. Anyway, Ole Miss knocks off Oklahoma, which is a good thing because this Oklahoma team has proven to me all season long that they were not it. You cannot just run this offense through John Mateer. You have to get something else going. And when Ole Miss made the plays, they made the plays necessary in order to win. Now Ole Miss is still in the SEC race. Oklahoma's still in it too, but, 2 losses in the SEC, it ain't going to get it done. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Just going to keep it real with you. UCLA, boy, that was terrible. Fernando Mendoza just ran a clinic. And then that Indiana defense is legit. Pick sixes everywhere. I mean, the Bruins lost, and Indiana is just cruising along. Another big win for Indiana. Just great stuff from Kurt Signetti and those Hoosiers, who are still on a collision course to meet Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship come December. Syracuse has no quarterback, so Haynes King just did his thing. He ran all over, passed all over the field. I mean, it was just Georgia Tech route. Unfortunately for Alabama, though, I don't get the Ty Simpson height. I don't, because he played pretty bad in South Carolina, but a Jeremy Bernard touchdown will save you in the end. And of course, a couple plays that went Alabama's way, like a fumble late by Lenore Sellers. Just South Carolina not being a really good team this year. I don't know what it is with South Carolina. They're in games, but some of these games they have not been in. But a competitive game against Alabama, shows a lot. But Alabama is still number 4 in the nation for a reason. Now, Iowa State had the opportunity against BYU, but ultimately BYU just pummeled them in the second half with 30-something straight points. And, of course, some plays, again, went BYU's way. Mr. Bachmeier is just he's on a tear. 3 touchdowns in this game. Again, Iowa State, too many mistakes by Rocco Beck with the 3 picks. Yes, Carson Hansen had 152 yards, but it doesn't matter, again, because BYU was able to take care of business in the end with those interceptions and the plays made on offense. Diego Pavia, don't know why he's a Heisman contender either, to be quite honest with you. Vanderbilt outlasted Missouri with no Bo Prabula because got hurt, in this game. I mean, that stat line is not appealing at all. 10 of 19, 129 and a pick. It's not appealing at all, to be quite honest with you. But, it is what it is. Like, Poppy is in the conversation because of, his eligibility, the way he's been talking. He's been talking a lot of smack to the media and everything like that. But ultimately, Vanderbilt is number 9 in the nation. That is crazy to me. Georgia Tech is number 7. Indiana's number 2. It's crazy out here. You get what I mean? Cincinnati, man, Brendan Sorsby definitely should be in the Heisman conversation, by the way. 27 touchdowns this year, most in the nation. Yeah. And Cincinnati gets to prove it yet again on Saturday night, like late at night on Saturday night, that, hey, we're actually better than what we thought we are. Unfortunately for Oklahoma State, though, they put up an absolute nothing burger against Texas Tech. They didn't score. They didn't score at all. Oregon struggled with Wisconsin for a little bit, and then Oregon was able to take care of business late. Same thing with Miami. Like Dante Moore just did not play a good game at all. Only 9-15. Terrible out there. Miami, they were able to take care of business against Stanford. Now, they were struggling a little bit early on, but, ultimately, Miami was able to get back on track and win this game by 35 because it's Miami. Michigan, how about Justice Haynes, man? Another 150-yard performance, another 2-touchdown performance. My God, he is on a tear this year. Should be in these conversations with Jeremiah Love, but unfortunately, no. We want to put guys like like Julian Sayin. I mean, I get it because Julian Sayin is having a great year. Yes, despite the talent around him, yes, he struggled some games. I can see why. I don't know why Gunnar Stockton's there, to be quite honest with you. He's had some bad games. Louisville was able to take care of business against Boston College. Kentucky. Tennessee, of course, is going to put up 56 on him. Houston knocked out Sam Leavitt, basically, and was able to take care of business late. Arizona State tried to come back, and ultimately it did not work out in their favor. So Houston is now, 6-1? Ranked in the top 20, or at least 22, anyway. And then Utah just beat the brakes off of Colorado so bad that Colorado had negative 18 total yards after one half. Deion Sanders is looking lost out there in Colorado at this time, but it is what it is. For my Longhorns, another struggling type deal with another team that's not very good in Mississippi State. Yes, Blake Shapen and those Bulldogs and those Cowbells, were able to rattle the horns for 3.5 quarters, but ultimately, after being down 31-14, Texas finally decided to lock in. However, Matthew Caldwell may get the call this week as Arch Manning is in concussion protocol. Probably still. I don't know. I haven't seen any updates on that because he got knocked out the game. So I don't know. And then Brian Kelly, bye, $50-something million buyout. He's had most of that money. He's had a good chunk of that money distributed to him already after his 4 years are up. But Marcel Reed, the Texas A&M defense, too much. 49-25. LSU got smoked in Death Valley, which is crazy to me. Like I guess I can say it now. A&M is legit. I hate saying that, but it's true. Is it not? Is it not true? Yeah, it's true. It's really true. So, now that week 9's out the way, week 10 is in the focus of the mirror. Again, Vanderbilt's taking on Texas. Vanderbilt has a pretty good rushing offense. Texas has a pretty good defense when it tries to be a good defense. For the most part. For the most part, Texas has a good defense, but there's just been these last couple weeks have been kind of a close call. And of course, the bias in me is saying, hey, Texas is winning this game, but Vanderbilt has a pretty good defense too. They are no slouches at all. Again, if it weren't for the turnovers against Alabama, Vanderbilt would have beaten Alabama. But you can't play if or shoulda, woulda, coulda. You play with what you got in front of you. And Vanderbilt looking so much closer to getting to the SEC championship. This is an insane thing to say in 2025, but that's just how weird this year has been. The night before that, we have Memphis trying to stay in the top 25 against Rice. They should be able to take care of business. But also in the American, Saturday, Denton, Texas, Blake Horvath, Drew Mestamaker, Big Boy Sports, Denton, Texas, that Coup Stadium. I will be there. It's going to be a long trek to Denton, but I'm guaranteeing that I am going to this game. I have already purchased my tickets. I purchased my tickets back during the state fair during Oklahoma, Texas. That's when I purchased those tickets. $22 well spent, let me tell you. And this game, basically, one of these teams is going to be ranked. Navy has a tougher schedule ahead of them with the number one ranked rushing offense. Of course, because it's Navy. They have some guys like Alex Teska in the backfield. It's just a Navy team that has been smooth sailing at times. Yeah, there's been there's been chinks in the armor because they don't really have a pass defense. But the same can be said for North Texas run defense. They do not really have that, but they do have the number one offense in the nation. Mestamaker just threw for over 600 yards, BTW against Charlotte. He just threw for 600 yards. One of these teams is definitely going to be at least close to ranked because the college football playoff rankings come out next Tuesday. So what you see now may not be the same as what you see on Tuesday, as far as these AP ranks go. This is really the last week that these matter. This is the last week these matter because after this, it's just playoff polls going forward. Again, Houston, all they got to do is keep winning. The Big 12 and some of these other conferences, because of how big they are, could get messy. So Houston playing West Virginia, that's nothing. That's nothing at all. Ohio State, oh Lord, it might be rough for Penn State fans. Don't look, Penn State fans. Don't look, because this game might be rough. Drew Aller's gone for the year with an injury. It's just been rough. It's just been continuing to get rough for the Penn State Nittany Lions and Ohio State. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for the Nittany Lions. Ohio State is already continuously angry at the world. So, there's that. Carson Beck and those Miami Hurricanes, they take on SMU. Should be an intriguing one. SMU is a pretty intriguing team to face off against. They have a pretty decent defense, and Miami just has to not play like garbage like they have been doing. Louisville, again, another ACC team, again, a log-jammed ACC with Virginia, Duke, Cal, Miami still, a lot of these teams with just one or two losses in the ACC. Big things are ahead for Louisville. All they got to do is keep winning. Georgia, they're taking on a Florida team with basically no head coach. So, all Georgia has to do is just win this game. Same thing with Notre Dame. Notre Dame has suddenly climbed up into the top 12. And they may be top 15 when the real rankings come out, when the CFB rankings come out. I think they'll be in the top 15. Don't think they'll be top 10, but they'll definitely be top 15. And Boston College is just terrible. Not a great team. Notre Dame should take care of business. Same thing with Texas Tech, Kansas State. BYU is on the horizon. And all Texas Tech has to do is take care of Kansas State, who's just been under the radar, really hasn't been doing too much, but they've been staying in games and everything like that. Indiana, oh boy. Maryland, I'm praying for Maryland too, because Fernando Mendoza is continuing to stake his claim to the Heisman right now. Again, same thing with Virginia, Cal. It's going to be an interesting game between them two teams. Again, a little bit of separation in the ACC. Cal is no slouch. Virginia, under Chandler Morris, really, really fun team. Ole Miss, again, same thing with them. They got to take care of business against South Carolina. South Carolina can knock some teams off, though. So, they have the ability. They have the strength. They have that SEC strength in them. I hate to say it like that, but, it's true. South Carolina can play teams real tough. Just ask Alabama. And Ole Miss cannot afford to lose any momentum. Same thing with Georgia Tech. Just keep winning, guys. Just keep winning. That's all Georgia Tech has to do is just keep winning, and you'll head on to Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Georgia. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You know what I'm saying? Michigan and USC, two teams that are also, looking, pretty intriguing. USC's taking on Nebraska. Nebraska is no pushover. Purdue is more of a pushover, though. I'm expecting Justice Haynes to just destroy Purdue. Again, Cincinnati, Utah, Devin Dampier, and Brendan Sorsby are going to face off in Big 12 After Dark. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait for it. And then Oklahoma, Tennessee, both these teams have 2 losses already. To be fair, this is basically an eliminator in the SEC. And again, right now, you look at some of these rankings, you look at teams in the AAC. Again, Navy is 5-0 in conference. Again, all they got to do is beat North Texas, and they should be, in more of a position to be in position. Again, Navy's schedule is much tougher the rest of the way with all the big AAC teams coming. In ACC, forgot about Pitt for a second. I forgot about Pitt. Again, a log jam of 1 loss and unbeaten teams in conference. Georgia Tech, Virginia, shades of the 1990 season, right now between those two teams. Big 12, same thing. Houston, like I said, they're actually 7-1, 7-1 Houston, 7-1 Texas Tech, 8-0 BYU, 7-1 Cincy. Utah is 6-2. Arizona State is still, in this race. Kansas State still in the race. TCU is still in the race. Again, one loss or 2 losses in the Big 12 ain't gonna do too much, as far as like the playoffs are concerned. Yes, Kansas State is 4-4, but again, they're no pushover. And again, the collision course between Indiana and Ohio State continues in the Big 10 unless something happens. Mountain West, I mean, you could say like, hey, Boise State's in this race to be in this race, and then the SEC is just crazy right now. Like I said, Alabama, A&M, both 5-0 in conference. Georgia, Ole Miss, Vandy, Texas, all in position to be in position. So we will see. And then there's teams like James Madison, that are also chomping at the bit for the Group 5 spot. So you never know. Give me a second, and we'll talk the NFL. Okay, guys, let me tell you, Carson Wentz being done for the year is just absolutely tragic, in some cases, I guess. But the Chargers beating the bricks off the Vikings like that, did not expect that. Tua Tagovailoa battling an eye injury, of course. The Falcons with Kirk Cousins just, no. Yes, and then the Ravens with Stoop Huntley beating the Bears like that. Oh, Jesus Christ, Bears. It is what it is at this point. Like, why do we even bother? And then Justin Fields came back and said, all right, bet. And finally, the Jets have a win. Everybody has a win in the NFL. Joe Flacco did his best, but ultimately, can't just target Jamar Chase all day long. You got to do something else. You got to do something else. You got to target somebody else. The Bills-Panthers, I thought this game was going to be a little bit better than it was, but ultimately, no, it was not. It was bad. It was real bad. Like, the defense, like, there were so many mistakes Andy Dalton made. There were, like, 3 straight plays where Andy Dalton made a mistake, like a fumble, a sack, and then an interception. Like, I swear, everything was just going bad for the Panthers. It looked like the Panthers, were the Panthers again. Just not great. CJ Stroud finally had a really good game over 300 yards passing, I think, in this game. I think I'm close. Yeah, 300 yards passing. Mac Jones did his best because the injury bug has just taken the 49ers completely out, but it just wasn't good enough. Patriots continue to win, still number 1 in the AFC right now. The Eagles, I hate it here, man. I hate the tush push so much. The play should technically be banned at this point, but it's not going to be. The officials can't officiate it properly, And then Cam Scatterbo got hurt, so he got hurt. He's done for the year. I mean, that ankle, that foot and that ankle was not connected together. I'll tell you that much. It was brutal. The Bucks took care of the Saints. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for the Bucks. Not too much that offense needed to do. Just harass Spencer Rattler and you're good. The Colts, my God, they took care of the Titans. Jonathan Taylor has been on a tear this year. Another hat trick touchdown performance for him. Daniel Jones just continues to be Daniel Jones, and the Colts, are also, well, actually, no, I think the Colts are number one in the AFC right now because they only have the one loss, excuse me. So, but you get what I mean. Chiefs, again, because there's no Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota starting, and everybody on the Chiefs are back. Yeah, the Chiefs easily took care of business. Like, again, yes, Mahomes threw a couple picks, but, honestly, the Commanders just don't have the offensive firepower at this point in the season. Jordan Love was able to outduel Aaron Rodgers. And Tucker Kraft, my God, what a performance in that man. Let me tell you. It was National Tight Ends Day, which I don't really care for, to be quite honest with you. Boy, let me tell you, this Steelers defense is atrocious. Highest paid defense in the NFL. How are you that bad? I don't know. Can't be worse than my Dallas Cowboys, though. 44-24. Hey, Jerry. We this is about as inconsistent as you can get from the Dallas Cowboys. You get 1 week where you're dismantling the Commanders, and then next week you follow it up by letting Bo Nix toss 4 touchdowns. 4 of them. J.K. Dobbins running all over you. And Dak Prescott throwing 2 interceptions. Yeah, I know one of them ain't really his fault, but at the same time, who cares, bro? Who cares? This Cowboys defense stinks. Stinky defense. This is probably, just what are we doing at this point? What are we doing? Or what are we playing the games for? You try to get Trey Hendrickson, you try to get Max Crosby, but it's no, nobody's trading at this point in the season. You should have did this in the offseason. You should have did this in the offseason at this point. What in the world was this Cowboys team thinking? Matt Eberflus, get him out of here. Get somebody. We need some fresh defensive blood up in here. We need to start pressing, this is ridiculous. Some of these teams just need to start playing coverage better too. This is getting ridiculous. The Eagles had no A.J. Brown. No A.J. Brown this week. So, just push it all day. The Broncos, have one of the offenses that are just so inconsistent, yet they put up 44 points. You know how bad it is? It's real bad. And with the NFC East stinking it up, I mean, shoot, Eagles might be the first team to repeat in years as NFC champions, as NFC East champions, excuse me. I don't know if they're going to repeat as NFC champions, though. I don't know if they're going back to the Super Bowl at this rate, but, Yeah. So that was week 8. Week 8 in the NFL was another crazy week. And now you're telling me we're halfway through the season? We're into November. We're halfway through the season now, basically. What do you mean? And the big one early is Colts Steelers. Daniel Jones with the guys that he has, Downs and Pittman. I mean, this Colts team might light up the Steelers. I know Tucker Kraft just lit up the Steelers, so I know Daniel Jones is ready to light up those Steelers. The Ravens, can they get back into it? They got to win this past week. I don't know if Lamar's coming back this week or not. But Ravens Dolphins is a game that is happening. Somebody is getting a win in that game. Both teams are kind of not in the playoff race right now, but, things can happen. Giants taking on the 49ers in basically what is one of the injury bowls. It's not looking good. Not looking good for the 49ers. They're limping through the season. The Chargers, if they can, continue to play like they have been, they should be able to take care of business. Lions back at play. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown are back at play. The Vikings, I don't know what in the world happened to them, but they're fading fast, and they need some help. I don't even know who's going to be starting at quarterback this week because, I don't know if JJ McCarthy is starting this week, but he might. But I don't know. Patriots, the Falcons, have Kirk Cousins out there, probably. All the Patriots got to do is take care of business. Drake May is continuing to impress, as he has been. The Broncos and the Texans should be an interesting one, Should be an interesting noon game. The Bears and the Bengals, Joe Flacco versus Caleb Williams. It's another interesting one. Like I said, there are some intriguing games. A little bit of separation is starting to occur, and the Bears need to stay in this thing. If they can stay in this thing, be consistent on offense, then you're good. The Bengals are just trying to fight back out of the doghouse, because the AFC North is looking kind of bad right now, Like the Bengals are still technically in the AFC North race. That's how bad it's been. Panthers, after that performance, I don't even know, Bryce Young is going to come back and play this week. I don't know what his injury was. But, good luck against the Packers. Good luck. The Rams, they're coming off a bye, but they're playing the Saints, though. Saints have looked rough all year. Again, a lot of these teams just looked pretty ugly this year. Same thing with the Raiders. Just another ugly game, with the Jags, who have been very inconsistent. Hopefully they fix their issues off the bye. But everybody's going to be looking at Chiefs-Bills. We all know this is going to be a doozy. It's basically a nationally televised game. Everybody's going to be watching this game. Some people have said, hey, this game might eclipse 50 million views. And I'm sitting here like, I don't know about all that, but, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen is always cinema. And I'm expecting another game that is cinematic here. The Bills were able to clean up some of the issues. They haven't cleaned up everything. They still need to get it together for a full game. Panthers, the Panthers aren't necessarily great, but this is where the test really begins because, man, the Chiefs are basically back at full strength. A lot of people say, oh, well, Travis Kelce's washed and everything like that. And, again, if Mahomes is starting to sling it again, that means everybody's in trouble. You know what I mean? The Seahawks, Sam Darnold and those Seahawks are taking on the Commanders on Sunday night. Boy, why? Why do we even have this game on Sunday night? I don't know at this point. It really should have been flexed out for something else at this point, but it's too late now. It's too late to flex it, so it stays. And the Cardinals-Cowboys on Monday. The Cardinals just absolutely stink. But considering it's the Cowboys defense, I'm expecting the Cardinals to do more on offense than anything else. So, we've been getting some stuff, this season so far, as far as the primetime games are concerned and some of these early big games. But it's at the same time, there's been some bad football. There's been some bad games. Like I said, there's some bad teams too. Again, Jets finally got their first win, but they're in the doghouse. Like I said, the AFC North, rough. The Browns are 2-6, the Ravens are 2-5, the Bengals are 3-5, Steelers are 4-3, but they have a game and a half lead on the Bengals right now. The AFC South, the Colts continue to win. They are running away with this division. And then the West, the AFC West, crazy right now. Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos all in it to win it, but somebody has to be the most consistent, and none of those three are, right now. So whoever wins the West, it's going to be crazy. The East, the NFC East, just give it to the Eagles at this point. The Commanders, terrible. Giants, terrible. Cowboys, terrible. Just give it to the Eagles. That'll be a second straight division title for the first time in 20-something years. I guarantee you that the Eagles will take care of business. and win this division as long as they continue to win, the NFC North. Because that tie, the Packers are out in front. Lions are gaining up behind them, and they can continue to win. If they continue to win, we get Packers Lions on Thanksgiving, I think. Yeah, Packers Lions is on Thanksgiving, and that should be a hell of a game. One heck of a game right there. But yeah, both these teams hope they continue to win. Bears, just be consistent. The Vikings, I don't know what to say about the Vikings at this point. The NFC South, somehow, surprisingly, the Panthers are 4-4 there. They're 2 games behind the Bucs. That may change over the next couple weeks. But the Bucs have been pretty injured. Baker Mayfield's doing as best as he can. And then the NFC West is also a logjam. Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers all have 5 wins. So there's no shortage of drama in the NFL right now. There's no shortage of drama. And then, we have a Sunday slate that, it's something. It's something of a Sunday slate. I don't know what the Sunday slate is, but there have been some weeks, this season where I'm like, what in the world are we doing out here? What are these games? And yet, here we are, about ready to, just go ahead and continue to watch the NFL be an absolute train wreck like it has been this season. So that's all I got for you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side, which is sometime next week, for more content. So just be out there and aware, and I'll see you soon.